hello, hello. This is Dion Brown, licensed therapist, self-care expert, and welcoming you to another segment of our virtual journal tour. We are continuing our virtual journal tour through our men's self-care journal, navigating non-negotiable self-care. This is a predominantly a men's self-care journal, but it is a journal that is useful for everyone. It is a scripted journal where you will be able to write in responses connected and related to self-care in 10 content areas. What we've been doing since last month, we've been going through the journal, navigating through the journal, talking about the various subjects and topics with different people. And tonight we are going to be focusing in on rest and self-care. So whether you're looking and listening from Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, we're going to be focusing in on rest and self-care and navigating that and what that looks like. And tonight we are so glad and so grateful to have one of our colleagues with us, who's another clinician, in the person of Lauren Capel. So what I'm going to do is just share a little bit about Lauren, and then we'll bring her in, and we are going to move forward. So Lauren Capel, she's a licensed clinical social worker committed to transforming how individuals and organizations approach emotional wellness. She holds a bachelor's in health management from Howard University and a MSW from the University of Maryland, Baltimore School of Social Work. Lauren is presently a doctoral candidate completing her Doctor of Behavioral Health. She is also serving as an adjunct professor, preparing the next generation of clinical social workers. Lauren is the owner of a boutique group practice and co-founder of Sanity in the Sanctuary Incorporated, a nonprofit organization that bridges the gap between mental health and faith-based communities. Her work centers on trauma-informed, solution-focused care with a special focus on emotional and soul healing, stigma reduction, and culturally responsive services for diverse populations. She's licensed in both Maryland and North Carolina, providing therapy, consultation, and professional development for individuals and organizations. She's also been married for 16 years. She's a mother of 2 boys and finds joy in travel and global connection. Lauren is passionate about revolutionizing mental health with care that inspires change. And without further ado, we're going to bring on Lauren Capel. Hello there and welcome tonight.
How are you?
I am great. We are so grateful that you have been able to join us for this, important discussion and dialogue concerning navigating non-negotiable self-care through rest, a subject that many people need a lot more of. Right? Rest.
Absolutely. Yes. We all need more rest.
Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to just talk about various subjects and things concerning rest tonight, and hopefully, again, those of you that are listening through Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, we're streaming live on all those platforms. Please like and share as we go forward. Please like and share, and those of you that particularly that are on Facebook, you will have the opportunity to, make statements, ask questions, make comments, and we will, proceed there. So, all right. Are you ready, Lauren?
Ready.
All right. So
Follow
let's
me.
good. So let's just dive in a little bit. I decided to in the journal, I decided to differentiate inside the journal between rest and sleep, right? Because a lot of times, and we'll get into that. A lot of times, people are under the, impression. A lot of times that that's the only way, that they can accumulate rest is through sleep. And while that may be a way, perhaps that people can, get some rest, we understand that is not, that is not the only way. So,
Mhm.
so but one of the things that I find in my clinical work with people with talking about rest is that we are in a society and in a world where many of us are um, geared to just work, 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 grind, grind,
Mhm.
grind, do, all sorts of tasks, all sorts of roles, all sorts of, different things that we are, struggling to try to keep up with. And many times it's tough for people to get into their mind the concept or the idea of, taking a break because we oriented to grind so much and to work. But, in a general sense, let's talk about the importance. Let's start with the importance of just taking breaks, right? in the context of life and work.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
and go ahead.
So I just think even before we tap in, I think it's important just to give a clear definition of what rest is, right? Because like you said, some people think that, hey, if I'm resting, I am, I'm sleeping, or I get to sit down and binge watch a whole show on Hulu or Netflix, right? So technically, when we're talking about rest, it's an intentional act, right? So it's an intentional act to make sure that you pause and adding it into your routine, because with rest, this what allows our body and our mind to be recovered, right? To reset and restore. So when we think about rest, rest is the root word of restoration. So when you're resting, you're giving your body a chance to restore itself, to reset itself. So it's not just not doing anything, but it's a deliberate act of care that helps us in our daily lives. So when you're getting rest, you're actually helping your body to heal. When you're rested, you get more clarity. You can problem solve a little bit better. You can become more resilient. And so actually there's about 7 different types of rest that you can focus on. So of course your physical rest is, just a break from exertion, going to sleep, getting adequate sleep, taking naps, sitting down, slowing your pace. Then you have your mental rest, which is taking a break from constant thinking, especially if you're in the workplace and you are, or even in leadership, and you're the one who always have to make the decisions for yourself. If you're a parent, problem solving, decision making, all of that requires you to exert mental energy. So when you take a mental break from that, then you're able to take a break from problem solving and making those decisions. Then you have your sensory rest, which is detaching yourself from screens and being overstimulated in many ways, because people don't realize that, when you're overusing your 5 senses, your senses in a way, always looking at the screen. If you have a job where you're constantly looking at the screen, you're on a computer all day, you need that sensory rest. Then you have your emotional rest, which is being able to create that space to feel authentically, to be authentic to how you're feeling emotionally, not feeling like you have to perform under pressure, not feeling like you have to keep this mask on, that you're authentic in how you really feel. So that means if you're not okay, you're not okay. And being okay to do that, and being able to say no and set boundaries, and choosing your peace basically over people pleasing. And then you have your creative rest. And so sometimes even play, appreciating the beauty around you, taking time to engage in something that builds that creative rest. Like, you need creative rest as well. And then you have your emotion, your spiritual rest, which is basically reconnecting with God, connecting with God, yourself, your purpose. What are you here for? That can include meditation, that can include prayer, and just letting go, right? And leaning and trusting in the process, and surrendering our surrendering ourselves, right, to a higher being. Some of the existential things, as far as like, why am I here? What are my purpose, my meaning? Those things are part of spiritual rest. So I think that's the 7 types: physical, spiritual, creative, social rest. I didn't say social rest. So social rest is, when you go out with the homies, right? You get to hang out, you get to engage
Absolutely.
in relationships that fill you up, right? So when you're thinking about rest, you have those times where you have a night out or evening out and you hanging out with your friends, you get filled up just being in social relationships. So not the relationships that drain you, but the ones that people are, happy to be in your presence. There is a peace, there's a joy there, of you hanging with people where you can authentically be yourself. So those are the different 7 types of rest. And yes, like I just felt like it was important to kind of break those things down as we begin to, delve a little bit into it. So rest is not earned. These are essential things that we need to make sure that we can fully recover, reset, and restore ourselves.
So I have physical, spiritual, creative, social. I missed a few.
Physical rest, spiritual, creative, social rest, emotional rest, mental rest, and sensory rest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like one of the things you said too was that it has to be intentional, right? I have
Mm-hmm.
to intentionally engage in rest. And in those categories, what that looks like, Lauren, would be one of the things that I do a lot with my clients in general, right? Being the self-care expert, one of the things that I do with clients is work with them to create a self-care toolbox, right? Of different things that they can put in their toolbox that nourishes them, that feeds them, that speaks to them in various areas in categories. And that's, a person developing one person developing a self-care toolbox could vary greatly from another person. So me taking spiritual rest or creative rest or emotional rest, the how that's planned out might look different than other people. So but those are very good categories as we talk about rest. So physical, spiritual, creative, social, emotional, mental, and sensory. I put it in the comments so people are logging on and commenting. So Tanika Jordan said that's good. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was some good stuff for sure. Um, all right, so in the with work and one of the things that comes up a lot in the sense of rest. Some people wrestle and struggle. There's a lot of messages that people receive either from themselves or other people or other places about their right to rest. Okay, their right to rest and their need to rest. Certainly, sometimes both of us we're in entrepreneurship spaces for the most part now. Um,
Mhm.
both of us have worked in a lot of capacities and in work related environments and settings. I don't know, but I come in contact with a lot of working professionals who struggle with that notion that I'm a good worker, I'm a hard worker, but hey, I also need to rest,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So um and I can't even explain how many discussions and reframing I've had to do for people who struggled with even the concept of, hey, I'm at work and I'm working these amount of hours, but you know I shouldn't leave the clinic, or I shouldn't leave the office, or I shouldn't take time away from my computer or my desk because people need me. Because they need, this is going to suffer. And so I don't know if you've encountered this with people, but in for example, in work related settings, it can be something as simple as, hey, no, you need to take your lunch break.
Yes.
that is a restful period for you, right? Do you ever struggle with people with that kind of concept?
Yeah, and I mean, it's actual research out on it. So as you know, being a clinician, the whole new buzzword now is burnout. There's plenty of research right now on different career capacities of people who are just burnt out. So we live in a culture that has, or society that has historically glorified the hustle and burnout. Like, it has led to burnout, but the hustle and productivity is glorified to the point where people have become completely burnt out. Or if you aren't constantly productive, then you're lazy or you're not doing something, right? But rest isn't necessarily the opposite of productivity. Rest is what sustains our productivity. So we need it. So there are studies where, I mean, honestly, over 50% of employees typically skip their lunch breaks. Even though, again, we need to have breaks in between, throughout our day, right? So that we can improve our productivity. So if you take lunch breaks, it will help to increase productivity and decrease some of the errors that you might have at work. So people are hungry, they scarf down food, they don't even know what their food tastes like. They know that they're hungry, they eat at their desk, and they remain glued to their desk. And I found that sometimes there is a perceived pressure or a guilt there to take breaks for people. They don't want to take breaks. They feel guilty for taking breaks. Sometimes the pressure to be productive 24/7, sometimes is tied to worth and a person's identity, especially if people have, leadership titles, managerial titles. Being able to take a break, impacts that sense of identity and self-worth that sometimes certain work environments create.
One of the things that I'm in the office actually 4 days a week, and I work one day at home in two different offices here in the DMV, my own and the office of a colleague. So I have a large pool of people that come see me in person, large pool. And I have a large pool of people who see virtual and some hybrid. Even my completely virtual people who work from home, but that's kind of shifting now with the government mandates. But many people who were working fully from home, I was encouraging them, go, leave your desk, leave out of that office space, leave out of that room. The benefits of taking that break, and I practice it too, no matter what, even if it's to go outside, just to run down the street or go get some coffee or just to get out of the office environment. What it does in the work settings for people, the refreshing and the relief that it provides for you. When we talked about, the mental, for example, the one category of mental health and wellness. We got a comment in from one of our guys, Lamar, the mindset of feeling guilty of taking a break.
Yeah. That's a real place.
It is. Can connect to people pleasing and feeling the need to be validated too, as well. That's very true. Very good. And that happens. I remember receiving a call from a colleague who I graduated with, and they were struggling because the environment that they were in was pressuring them not to take a break the way they would usually take a break. And the way they would usually take a break was beneficial for them, for their mental health. So they called me after office hours to, just to inquire, based upon my connection with them, just to inquire where they were wrestling with that guilt feeling, the guilt. But the guilt then was external. It wasn't from them, because they were very pleased with how they were taking their lunch breaks, and they literally were doing nothing wrong. But that guilt can be external as well. And when it's coming from an external source, which signs your checks, then that's a whole nother dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because that's with that struggle of being unproductive, right? So when I said the opposite of rest isn't productivity, but some people tie being unproductive with shame because of that. So
Mm-hmm.
many wrestle with shame when they're not producing at the time, but that's also rooted in capitalism. So when you're at work, if you take a break or you're not constantly working or being productive in a way, is it impacting the company's bottom line? Are those external people looking at it as if, you know, you're not valuable? So some of those things can be rooted in that when you're in the workplace, especially, you know, when you are, especially in corporate environments where their bottom line is really tied to high productivity.
Tanika Jordan, rest from the job is essential so you don't begin to resent the job.
Absolutely.
I like
And
that.
people just, you know, like I said, that's what leads to burnout. So that has been the whole buzzword. That has been more research areas right now where people are looking at burnout. But oftentimes that, you know, that shame, that guilt from taking a break from the workplace, being able to rest even in intentional breaks will lead to burnout, and people will resent their jobs.
They will. And that will, and you know, once a person gets to a place of burnout internally, mentally, physically, and then they're resenting their job, guess what's going to happen? Productivity is going way down.
Because people get stressed out in the work environment. And I believe there was some research, I saw it in a TED talk, that workplace stress is like number 5 as one of the leading cause of death.
Okay, we got a comment worth discussing for sure. Kenneth Clemens said, "Know yourself and don't take a job for money, not knowing the sacrifice is more than you can give, but you want the money." What are your thoughts about that comment? Or do you
Know yourself and yeah, I'm reading it again about not taking money and knowing the sacrifice. Again, I feel like there has to rest again is intentional, right? So yes, I mean, we know that we have to go to work, right? I mean, you don't work, you don't get paid, right? You do want to be a valuable employee if that's what you're called to. But how you do that is going to be important. How you take care of yourself in the work environment is going to be important. Even as an entrepreneur, even if you have your own business, there are times where, you know, there's times for me where I'm hustling. You know, there's a time where, and if I could look back at all the hats that I wore, all the roles that I did without taking rest, I would not do it again. But now when you know better, you do better, right? So for me, it's more so taking advantage of these different types of rest, being able to make sure that my support system is in place, recognizing when I can't do everything, delegate what I can. And if I can't get to it, I can't get to it. So I just think that, yes, I mean, we don't all want to just chase the dollar, but right now in this economy, dollars are important.
They do matter.
They matter. But I mean, also, there are many factors I believe going into this. Like if it's not a toxic workplace environment where, you know, you have to be productive, is there flexibility for you to be able to do these types of things? Is there flexibility for you to close your eyes for a few seconds, to get up and walk away from your computer for 10 to 15 minutes, to sit in your car during your lunch break, or intentionally going outside?
I love it.
There are things that you can do, even if you're in, you know, a high producing environment. There are things that you can do. So I do agree with know yourself. You need to know yourself. You need to pay attention and be attuned to what you need in order to do your job effectively.
We got, oh, wait a minute. Okay. So Lamar Grave said also, and also being giving the third degree or pushback from wanting to use PTO that you honestly earned and should be able to use. Amen, Lamar. That is very true. I'll comment and I'll let you. Yeah, it's something I push for people a lot. We'll get into travel and taking time and rest, vacations and stuff, because that can be a form of rest too. We'll talk about that in a bit. But some people do encounter that in work environments and work settings. In entrepreneurship space, Lauren, we have to create our own it's not really, we're not given, there's no given PTO in that sense. We create our schedules and time, etc. But yes, I remember plenty of times, sometimes I remember process. Okay. You got to fill out a sheet, turn it in, I had to find somebody, another clinician in the clinic. I had to find the other clinician in the clinic to cover me while I was out and wait for my PTO for my trip or my vacation to get approved. And sometimes people are in settings where they get pushback about that. What's you in the comment? Any experiences?
I mean, I've been on both sides of the fence. So I've, been in leadership for over 10 years and having to be the one, I would say I've never denied someone's PTO. Okay. Again, I think my field, just in general, we need those breaks. And so I take my vacation, I use my PTO. So I can't say that I've been in environments where my PTO was denied. I probably would have gone and probably been fired if they were. But also, when my employees have come to me, I've never denied PTO. I just make sure that we have enough coverage for those things to happen. And actually, one of my other organizations that I was with, they preferred using PTO versus sick time and vacation time. And I loved it because it's like, I don't need you to call in and lie and tell me you're sick if all you really need was a mental health day. Or, when you have families, things happen. Like, take a PTO day. I don't have to know the reason. I don't need to deduct whether it's a vacation day or a sick day. The time is there for you to use. So I definitely like PTO versus having to separate. Is this a sick day or is this a vacation day? It's just the day. So
and look, I'll tell you, I'm on the opposite side of the fence. I prefer the other way around, actually. For me, I do 100%, because for me, from working in settings, if I'm just given one bank. So I worked at a hospital where at first it was differentiated. It's a sick time, this is vacation time. And then they were like, no, we're going to put everything into one bank. But the one bank wasn't a whole lot of time. Okay. And so if you got sick, you had the flu or extended sickness, wasting a whole week of PTO in one bank because you were sick due to no fault of your own, screwed with your regular downtime, vacation time, etc. So I preferred, yes, give me designated sick time. If I need to provide you with a doctor's note, fine. But I get the flu or COVID or something and I can't come in for 2 weeks, or I have some sort of medical procedure where I can't come into 2 weeks and it exhausts my PTO bank, no, sir. No. We're not doing that. So I prefer but people are different. I definitely prefer the differentiation. This, we haven't gone far yet in our discussion points, but because a lot of people are triggered in work. See, we're getting more comments coming in. People are very triggered. Lamar said, it's good. They're engaged. Working with the juvenile justice system has been an eye opener for me, and just that constant on the go, especially within the transportation sector and being available constantly on the clock. And then Tanika Jordan, to your point, she says, I never give an excuse. I need the day off, period.
Period.
Okay. All right. That's good. Okay, cool. So we're going to move along a little bit so we can we'll stay on rest and work settings for a while. Cause that's a subject.
It's a real place.
It is. It really is. There's pressure though that exists in our culture. We talked about this a little bit earlier, where as a society, people are always feeling like they need to be productive 24/7. We feel the pressure in our culture, and I talk with people a lot about this. I talk about it in my first book, Non-Negotiable Self-Care, about how we are geared to always have to be on the grind 24/7 and feel guilty. if we rest and we kind of looked at it a little bit, people do struggle. They struggle with the notion of some people, and I've helped a lot of people kind of reframe this for people mentally and in their emotions. But some people struggle with, hey, I'm not doing something productive right now, so I'm wasting time, right? I have to be writing something, organizing something, typing something, completing something, doing some sort of task, etc. So some people, Lauren, actually feel very unsettled and they feel, even though we know rationally it's not accurate, true, they feel unproductive unless they're doing something like this constantly. So, and I know with your work with a lot of professionals like myself, some are kind of stuck in that paradigm, right?
Oh, I used to be her. Thank God I'm delivered
Thank you,
from
Lauren.
that lifestyle.
Thank you.
And you want to know why? Because I always felt like
Yeah.
I had a long list of things on my to-do list all the time. And I felt like, okay, I need to get through this to-do list. The to-do list would just keep getting longer and longer of things that I had to accomplish, things that I had to do, of visions that I had. But then at the same time, I have these very important roles. So I always felt like there was something to do. Mm-hmm. Now I know this is geared toward men, but even as a wife, as a mother, as a worker, as a daughter, it's things that my mother would ask me to do, things that, people just pull on you, the friends that call you that still need you for a listening ear to vent. There was always, I felt like, something to do. So I felt like if I was sitting down or watching TV, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. If I just took a break, then it's like, well, you should be doing this, or you should be doing that. So there again, we kind of talked about this, that there is still this guilt, because in our minds, if we're not building something or if we're not doing something, then we're falling behind. And so that also leads to this guilt for resting. So we recognize that our bodies and our minds are crying out for it, and we just put a battery in our backs and we keep going like the Energizer Bunny. And so I share this with a few people that, when I moved, I literally was on autopilot. Like I was a senior director. I also, had my consulting business, which was doing very, very well at the time. I was trying to build a house. I was trying to sell a house. It was a lot going on. And to the point that once I got settled, it took me a long time to really realize I was on autopilot, and I had been on autopilot for so long, it became normal. So I had to sit down. It took me a good 6-7 months to actually sit down and to realize it's okay that I'm taking this time to do these things. And so sometimes we even think healthy leisure things that we need to get done. If you have a home and you're painting or you're doing some gardening work, is sometimes seen as less valuable because it doesn't have tangible outputs. And so we feel like if we don't have tangible outputs, then we're not doing anything. But healthy leisure, as we talked about, creative rest and social rest, those things are valuable and they're needed. And they're not less valuable just because there's no output, but there is a healthy output. We just don't see it.
Exactly. And that's something that a lot of people, a lot of people wrestle and struggle with. And, the journal, Navigating Non-Negotiable Self-Care, is directed toward, men, but anyone can use it. But I'm glad you brought in the multiplicity of roles that you've had to, speaking of navigate, right? To navigate as all your capacities. I don't even start naming them.
Yeah.
They might make me exhausted. So,
I
right?
mean, listen, I used to, when I had to get up and do presentations and they would read my stuff, and I'm just like, look, I don't even know how I did all of these things. But then I realized like I wouldn't recommend it because I was on autopilot for months. And it took me a while to kind of get out of that mental space that I have to constantly be doing something to have some kind of tangible output.
And people wrestle with that. People struggle with that. I've had to work with people to get them more comfortable with stepping outside of that mindset, more comfortable with being okay internally if they take time to go to the movies, if they watch a movie at home, if even some of my 40 and 45-year-old men that I see in my practice, if they go downstairs and play the video game system just to unwind something, right? Or they, spend time in their basement cellar with a few drinks or something, right? Some time and some space. That that's a part of health and wellness and rest and self-care as well. Lamar commented, let's see. Could that also be tied to fulfillment? Because we tend to tie self-worth. Yes, we do, especially as men. We tend to tie self-worth of what we do to who we are. Oof.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I know women deal with it too, but it's really strong within men. So much so that when oftentimes when men get together in social context, it's almost a competition. Like, what do you do? What do you do? Or who are you? But yeah, it's true. That could happen. Definitely happen. And one of the things you said, Lauren, tapped into another part of what I wanted to get into, that healthy leisure activities are very important in the context of rest and healthy leisure activities. And I definitely recommend everybody, whether you're looking on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, that you look at what some of your healthy leisure activities are, and because they can also be a form of rest, and it can tap into one or several of those 7 areas that Lauren mentioned earlier for us so graciously. Look at what some of your healthy leisure activities are, because you take time and space to engage in those does not mean you're not being productive, or doesn't mean you have to, doesn't mean that has to be productive either. Everything you do, basically everything you do for every hour of every day doesn't have to be productive. And that's a hard pill for some people to swallow. I already know. Listen, I had clients, I said it, they gasped. They was like, let me say it again. Breathe. Let me let that marinate. People struggle with that one. I always gotta be doing something, right? No. Let's talk about naps. Let's talk about naps as a type of rest. In my office now, I finally have my own office here in Baltimore. Have you seen the video? Did you see the video of the office that I posted a while ago?
I might have.
Okay, it's a nice, pretty blue office because blue is my favorite color, obviously. But one of the little placards that I have in the office, it says, I picked it up from one of those stores, Home Goods or one of those places. Naps make everything better, right?
And do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, they do. Taking a nap is a viable form of self-care. Many of us took them when we were younger. My elementary school, we had nap time. We had structured, scheduled, intentional nap time. Now, as many of us are older and we're working, etc., it can be really, really tough for people to get a nap. If I'm not mistaken, when I looked last, the research has indicated that a 20 to 45-minute nap can really help recharge the mind and body. Now, being in an entrepreneurship space and managing my own schedule, even though most days are very busy, I have managed most days somewhere in either office or at home to get in a 20 to 45-minute nap. And I cannot even explain, from someone who gets up at 4:30 or 5 a.m. every morning to go to the gym and in the gym for hours and then starts with my clients around 10, I cannot explain how much that nap in the middle of my long days does for me mentally and emotionally. So the nap, taking a nap. For those of you that can, that's a type or a form of rest. There's many other, but that's a, you know, that's a it kind of helps reset you and get you back in a good place mentally and emotionally. Do you ever get any? Are you ever able to get any naps, Lauren, or you
Oh,
just
I love a good nap. Now I can. So
okay?
again, since I've been delivered from
Mhm.
my from my autopilot and not getting rest, I do incorporate naps if I can. Now I still have super busy days, but sometimes I notice, like, even if I set my alarm and I have like a 30-minute break or a 30 to 45-minute break, I will take a 20 to 30-minute power nap.
Mhm.
And I love them because, I mean, naps also helps you boost your memory. It increases my focus throughout the day. So like if I'm able to take a nap, I can come back and focus on what I need to get done. It helps improve your mood because, you know, when you're tired, when you're physically tired, you get a little snappy.
Absolutely.
Um, you can get irritable, you can get frustrated. So those naps helps to improve your mood. So I'm definitely a proponent for naps. I take naps. I will encourage naps if you can. So that is definitely a form of that physical rest.
Absolutely. Good. For those of you that are listening, if you have the ability, the capacity, and a space, try to get in naps. All right. Now let's shift a little bit to talk about one of my favorite types of rest, which is travel. Those of you that know me, whether you're personal or professionally, you're looking on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Um, and oh, before I do that, before I shift gears, sorry, we got two comments. Okay. I almost missed that. Lamar Graves, Lamar Graves said, "Yep, that's good. That's good.
Whole breakthrough in a nap. I might have to use that. I took a
Right,
nap and got a whole breakthrough.
right. That's good. That's really good, right? There's a praise and a breakthrough. Absolutely. And then Tanika Jordan, naps are great. I take a nap every Sunday after church. I bet
Yeah, yes. The Sunday afternoon naps are the best naps.
they are. They really are. Aren't they? They are really. People don't know how much they are. All right. So, one another type or form of rest that is pretty important and is the travel. So I talk with a lot of people. I share one of the things I do. So in my office in the Baltimore office, I do have pictures of me. I strategically posted around my office pictures of me in 7 different countries. My office screams self-care in every way possible. It is incredibly therapeutic. For a long time, I was leasing an office with someone else here in Baltimore, but when I was able to create my own space, I've made it very therapeutic and self-care geared. So, I talk with a lot of people about travel. They talk with me about travel, you know, tools, tips, etc. And it's a very powerful form of rest. But a lot of people are, and I know you use it as well, as a period of rest. Um, but a lot of people are challenged in reference to taking time to travel. Um, I'm going back to something you said earlier with rest being intentional, right? So travel is a form of rest, so we need to be intentional with it. Now, I will tell you, I admit I'm a little behind the ball for this year because of help us because America shifted after January 20th, so I'm a little bit behind the ball with my planning, and with we had a series of different aircraft situations going on, so I'm a little behind the ball. Okay, we got a comment already. That's good. I like that. So I'll talk about that in a second. But I got some things in the works. But I'm intentional, right? So I am working on some travel stuff already for next year. So I'm gonna read the comment first from Tanika about travel. Travel is a must. Yes, vacation me, please. I love it. Even if it has to be a staycation in the state. I
Absolutely.
100% agree. 100% agree. So, travel could be international, could be domestic, could be a staycation. I tell people it could be a day trip, but back to what you said earlier, you must be intentional. You have to work at it, plan on it, plan for it. And I'm gonna let you talk. I am working on some stuff already for 2026, Lord willing. So comment, Miss fellow traveler.
Yes. I mean, travel is a must. I'm with Tanika. Like, I have to travel. I plan travel. I plan different types of travel. I have my couples travel. I have travel with my family. I have my girls travel, and I have different things. And so, again, this is part of how I create my rest, but I see travel as a form of sacred rest for me. And so when you have a travel, I just feel like it just interrupts that daily routine. Like, yes, we need the different types of rest, but when you traveling, it helps me with the creative rest. So I'm able to put myself in different beautiful spaces, soaking in God's creations. Shucks, I breathe differently on vacation. um, it helps me to have different perspectives from different cultures, see how everybody else tends to live. When I go to the islands, like, if you ever been to the islands, those people get off work, they not thinking about work afterwards. It's almost like a carefree type of lifestyle. When I travel to Europe, I think those places look different as well. So I just feel like it just kind of gives me different perspectives when I travel. But I mean, I like what you said about how it has to be planned. So, and what Tanika said, like, everybody I haven't been out the country yet this year either. But again, people have different things. I'm finishing up my dissertation. That's probably the most important thing to me right now. But
Mhm.
even if you have like a lack of time or financial constraints, you are paying off some debt or doing things, like, still plan to even step away, even if it's taking an hour ride or a couple hours to the beach, or
Yep.
it doesn't have to be an extravagant, out of the country vacation, just a short getaway. I've done things where I've just gotten a hotel room overnight or for the weekend, where I can just unplug from my family, unplug from things, and just be. I don't have to do anything but take my book, room service, or whatever I need, even if it's that staycation, or just a short getaway. So just think about, again, what fills you up, what brings you happiness, what brings you a sense of joy. Is it a beach setting? Do you find more peace and rest when you are listening to the waves or you're getting soaked? Do you find more rest when you're in the mountains? When you're in the mountains, that helps you find solitude, some clarity. So it just depends on what helps you to again refuel, to be restored, give you that sense of peace, to disconnect from the hustle, to help with your spiritual connection or reconnection with yourself or with God. So I think all of those are also important as you're thinking about, relaxation places, or, your favorite places to go as be restored.
Absolutely. Many people want to, they have a desire to, but they don't. Intentionality, right? They don't put forth the intentional effort and look kind of what you said, look at within themselves, what they want to do, where, if it's by themselves, with other people. So that becomes important. And being intentional and deliberate in reference to travel. Oh, hey, we got a few
And a good strategy might be, even, like I said, financial constraints. That's the real place right now with inflation and everything else, but you can budget for it. Maybe in your budget, add add a line for this is a rest fund,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, a travel fund or something
I
in your
love it.
finances, so that again, that's part of the planning. Make putting it on your calendar and plan for it. And so you when you're doing that, you're being a steward over your rest. And so we don't really look at restoration as stewardship of, you know, we have to restore our bodies. And so that's part of it.
Absolutely. Tyrone Seabrook said agree. I'm not sure which statement he was talking about exactly, but then Lamar said, "Yep, I'll go to the beach by myself real quick." That's
Mhm.
me coming up. And Stephanie Watson Wilder. Travel is wonderful, but I think when traveling, we still must be intentional about getting rest while we are away. Sometimes when traveling, we are going here and there and sightseeing, but it is necessary to take time to chill at the beach, poolside, get a massage or something to relax.
Yep.
Yes, Stephanie, back in the day,
Hi, mom. Hi, mom.
what is your mother? You said that's your mother?
Yes.
Oh, hi, mom. Okay, awesome, awesome. Uh, I used to Miss Stephanie. Then to you, I used to have to go, and now I've learned over time, Lauren, to balance that out with rest, and I don't have to go to every single excursion and every
See?
single event, especially if it's a first time I've been somewhere, if especially it's out of the country. I want to see the most important stuff, but I've sewn in space and time to do nothing, to
Yeah.
plan nothing. Um,
That's definitely important because sometimes sometimes people have to take a rest or break from vacation. You go on vacation and come back tired because you've done so much while you're away.
do that. Nope, I learned from that. Used to Lamar said, "Oh wow, yes, restoration is stewardship." That was good, so good.
Mhm.
And Tyrone Seabrook said, "Agree with making time for travel, locally slash abroad." Your mother, truth. Age will teach you how to slow down, even though you want to do it all. That's true. That is all true. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Um, one of the before we move away from travel, and I like I said, I know you travel and I travel, etc. I think, have you, and everybody's different what this means, what this looks like. Have you located yet for yourself so far your favorite place for travel and relaxation, and if so, what makes that your favorite so far?
You mean a place or just the environment?
Either.
So I would say, well, kind of going to the other point of moving, it depends. So, yes, when I was in Europe, it was almost like we were going a lot of places. So it wasn't a lot of downtime, but I felt like I really liked Hawaii because it gave me a sense of both. It was just a beautiful island, just being able to take in the beauty around me.
Mm,
With just the different flowers or the different types of trees. The way that the water looked, it was just a different type of rest, I think, that I appreciated. So if I could say it was probably like that beach, but it wasn't like it was a calm beach. It wasn't a lot going on. I could actually be at peace and feel calm, not a lot of crashing waves. And, you know, yeah, I appreciated that trip.
okay, good. I think most people are aware that I'm a Aruba fan, so that's my that's my island, or as they say, one happy place. It's one of the more pricey islands in the Caribbean, but the food, the people, the culture, uh, as a man, there's some great, eye candy. So there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff that I like about Aruba. It's peaceful. The weather is always in its 70s or early 80s.
I would say a cruise as well.
Okay.
I do like cruise ships in a sense that, you can choose to just relax. You can, while you're on the boat and you're at sea, I did find peace just looking out at the waves and just I could choose what I wanted to do on the cruise ship. And everything is just like right there. You get off, you do the islands, you do your excursion, but you're also just at a place of just, if you want to lounge out on the deck, you can do that all day if you want. So I do like cruises as well.
Okay. And before we stop the comment, Tanika Jordan. I'm a beach girl or an island, but I plan to get out of my comfort zone and try the mountains at some point. God bless you, not me, but bless you.
So, definitely the mountains. I'm looking forward to going to the mountains.
Okay, that's coming up.
Oh, I'm planning it. So let me just add it in my itinerary. I have several things that I have on my agenda. Yes.
Your mom. I love Europe. I haven't been yet. I will next year. My itinerary. I love Europe, even though it was a lot of sightseeing and going from place to place. But a cruise is a great place to relax. Okay. I've been on one cruise so far, 7-day South Caribbean cruise. It was amazing, though. I ain't gonna lie. Okay, good. All right, so
definitely Colorado. That's one of my that's on my bucket list of mountains to visit. I'm with Tyrone on that one.
Oh, Iceland.
Oh yeah, I heard Iceland was nice too.
Oh, for mountains? Is that for we talking about mountains or just in
general? Then they have like this big pool, the Blue Lagoon, that I'm interested in.
Okay. All right. All right, we have about 3 minutes left. So we talked about the 7 types of rest. For those that may have came in later, do you still have access to those? Are you able to mention what those? I put it in the comments, but if you're able to mention what those 7 types of rest are for people again, that would be great.
Yeah, so you have your physical rest, which is your sleep and your gentle movement, maybe just some light stretching. Social rest, which is engaging in fulfilling social interactions, being in relationships or around people who restore you, who build you up, not the relationships that deplete you and take life out of you. So social rest is one. Your creative rest, which is play, appreciating the beauty around you. Different hobbies or things that you might be into, like if you're into gardening and stuff like that, that could be a form of creative rest. Your sensory rest is being able to disengage from your screens, your devices, just being in a place of silence where, sometimes throughout our day, we can be in sensory overload. So being able to just disengage from screens and devices really helps. Then spiritual rest is another form of rest, which is meditation, your prayer, engaging in your community. Also, trying to find your sense of purpose, being connected to yourself, to your purpose. That could be part of spiritual rest. You have your emotional rest, which is the authentic expressions of your feelings, being able to recognize how you feel without judgment. Then the next one is mental rest, which is being able to just take those micro breaks throughout the day, giving yourself a break from, having to do a lot of problem solving and, decision making throughout the day. That is part of it. And is that the 7 types? And mental rest. So those are the 7.
Okay.
Physical, social, creative, sensory, spiritual, emotional, and mental.
Thank you. And Tyrone said, I guess you know what this means. Igloo is heated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Okay, and I'm just going to post in the comments for everybody the information about the TED Talk you mentioned earlier. I copied and pasted. There's a TED Talk to check out. Sandra Dalton Smith, The Real Reason Why We Are Tired and What to Do About It. All right. So we are at our time. So what I'm going to do, this has been great and wonderful and incredible audience engagement and participation. So good. A lot of comments and people chimed in for sure. I'm looking at people watching on all of the platforms and looking and listening. Lauren, what's I'm going to request for you 2 things as we wrap up. Just some sort of 1-minute wrap-up statement you would like to give our listening audience about rest, and then if you can share with people the places you would like for people to, if you do, to connect with you, or anything you have going on that you're working on, anything like that. So
okay. One of the things I wanted to wrap up, number one, rest is essential. And I really like the conversation around rest being unproductive, but or is the absence of growth. But when you look at rest, it's not the absence of growth, but look at rest as the soil that nurtures your growth. So it is essential for you to do. You do have to be intentional about doing it. So again, just be intentional about making sure that you rest. And if you choose to follow me, I am Lauren Capel on Instagram, also on Facebook, just Lauren Capel LCSWC.
All right. Thank you. And one of the participants commented, Lamar, he commented the 7 types of rest were really so good. So okay, so yep, we are grateful that all of you were able to join us as well tonight for this second installment as we are navigating through this journal, men's journal, primarily to navigating non-negotiable self-care, which is a scripted 30-day journal. If you do not have it, you can grab it off of Amazon under my name, Dion Brown. You'll see 2 things. You'll see my best-selling book, Non-Negotiable Self-Care, and then you'll see this men's scripted journal. It is on Amazon right now. So if you do not have this journal, please make sure you get it. If you are a lady, you can use it also. But if you have a man, cousin, brother, etc., you want to sow into his life, you can get it off of Amazon right now. It's $20. It's Dion Brown, and it's on Amazon right now. And it'll be useful to somebody. All right. We'll be here again next month as we navigate through the journal, as we're going through all 10 of the content areas concerning navigating non-negotiable self-care. And this is the second month. Tyrone Seabrooks said the journal is worth it, so we're going to co-sign with what he said. So we hope to see you all sometime next month as well. And we hope that you all have learned a lot and will use these tactics and tips and tools to help navigate a greater degree of rest in your life. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.